Coming up on the 2014 FIFA World Cup magazine, the son of a superstar, Rivaldo. We're in Bahia, where the survival of the sea turtle is high on the agenda. And we profile Japan and Nigeria, concluding our countdown to the FIFA Confederations Cup. But we begin in Rio De Janeiro with a bird's-eye view of the Estadio Jornalista Mario Filho, a stadium better known to millions of football fans around the world as Maracanã. In late April, after almost 3 years of renovation, this iconic venue reopened its doors, giving the world its first glimpse of the stadium that will host the 2014 FIFA World Cup final. After Fortaleza, Belo Horizonte and Recife, Rio was the fourth of the 12 host cities to deliver its stadium for use in the all-important test events. Of the original structure, which was built for the 1950 FIFA World Cup, only the shell remains. The layout has changed little though, but there's now improved visibility for those fans who'll be seated in the lower tier. The roof is also new and boasts green credentials with a rainwater collection system. Some 8,000 workers have been involved in the project, and as well as receiving a ticket to the first World Cup match to be played here next year, all were invited to attend the stadium's inaugural fixture as April drew to a close.
It was an immense pleasure to leave my professional mark here. I have worked to the best of my ability and have tried to do everything possible to ensure the work was completed on time.
It's been really good for me. These past few years have been very enjoyable. I've been here for 1 year and 9 months now, and I've also been promoted during that time. I'm looking to progress even further. That's my goal. Maracanã is one of the biggest stadiums in the world, one of the most beautiful. And when you see the inside, it's enchanting. You'll love it.
For an exhibition match between friends of Ronaldo and friends of Bebeto, the crowd was limited to 30% of Maracanã's near 77,000 capacity. Even so, a terrific atmosphere was generated, and that bodes well for the fixtures of the FIFA Confederations Cup, when the stadium is sure to be sold out. The honour of scoring the new Maracanã's first goal went to former Fluminense favourite Washington, who converted Bebeto's pinpoint cross. Together with fellow stars of World Cup squads gone by, the likes of Aldair, Serginho and Junior, Ronaldo and Bebeto helped to roll back the years. With so much talent on the pitch, goals were never going to be in short supply. Friends of Ronaldo eventually won 8-5, with the captain weighing in with 2 himself. And his second would have graced any game.
I enjoyed it a lot. It was very nice to meet up with so many friends and be a part of this celebration, especially for those who built the stadium. It was really good to give something back to the workers, to be able to thank them for their affection and hard work.
I think the most important bit of the evening was the party, without a doubt. It was great to be able to celebrate with the people who've been working tirelessly to build this stadium. There's no doubt that without them, this place would not be as it is today. The stadium is special. For me, it's the biggest stage I've ever played on. I played at Wembley, in England, a stage that everybody knows. And at the Bernabeu in Spain. But playing here is different. It's very different.
Maracanã's official inauguration will take place on June 2nd, when Brazil host England as part of their preparations for the FIFA Confederations Cup. In that tournament, the stadium will stage 2 group games, and then the final on June 30th. So the FIFA Confederations Cup is fast approaching, and of the two nations we've yet to profile, one has appeared in the tournament on 4 occasions and reached the final when they co-hosted the competition back in 2001. Asia's representatives in Brazil will be Japan. More than 2 years have elapsed since Alberto Zaccheroni masterminded Japan's qualification for this year's FIFA Confederations Cup. An extra-time victory over Australia in the final of the AFC Asian Cup secured Japan a 4th continental title, and with it, a trip of a lifetime for the players and their Italian coach.
I've tried to imagine it many times, but I cannot fathom what it will be like, how it could be. I think that the home of football today is Brazil, the passion, the quality in Brazil. You don't see that anywhere else.
Another sight rarely seen is a Japan squad boasting few players from the J-League. But for the World Cup qualifier against Jordan in March, no fewer than 8 members of Alberto Zaccheroni's starting 11 played their football overseas, with 5 in Germany's Bundesliga. It's a break with tradition, but perhaps not a winning formula all by itself.
These individuals still play a Japanese style of football, and they have therefore inherited some of our weaknesses. I believe there is a psychological barrier that we need to negotiate if we're to eradicate these deficiencies from our game. The current World Cup qualifying campaign and the experience gained in international tournaments such as the Confederations Cup will serve to develop our strengths.
Keisuke Honda, who's based in Russia, missed the Jordan game, but he was Japan's standout performer at the 2010 FIFA World Cup in South Africa. Along with Manchester United's Shinji Kagawa, Honda, an attacking midfielder with a sumptuous left foot, will be expected to shine once again in Brazil.
Honda has been playing in Europe for quite some time, and whenever he takes part in a high-level tournament, he always stands out. Kagawa's experience is different, but he and the others who play their football in Germany's Bundesliga, in England's Premier League, and in Italy are all gaining vital experience, and they can hopefully put that to good use with the Japan national team.
Japan have been drawn in a tough-looking Group A and will feature in the tournament's opening fixture against Brazil. Zaccheroni's native Italy are next on the agenda before a 3rd and final group encounter against Mexico.
We've earned this opportunity to play in the Confederations Cup, and we'll go there with the intention of obtaining the best result we can. We'll look to increase the squad's experience, improve their confidence, and at the same time, it's an opportunity to test ourselves against some very strong opposition. That can only benefit the players' development.
Japan have failed to progress beyond the group stage in 3 of their 4 appearances at the FIFA Confederations Cup. Having never beaten Brazil or Italy, and having lost 3 of their 4 encounters with Mexico, a semi-final appearance would surely be a huge achievement for this cosmopolitan squad. April, Rio De Janeiro, and FIFA hosted some 320 representatives from 80 media rights licensees, or MRLs, at the first World Broadcaster meeting ahead of the 2014 FIFA World Cup. FIFA and its appointed host broadcaster, HBS, used the occasion to update the MRLs on matters such as the International Broadcast Centre, studio and stadium production facilities, content services, and host operations at the 12 venues across Brazil. Now a regular feature in the build-up to the FIFA World Cup, the meetings, of which there are 2, assist the MRLs in the planning of their operations. Representatives of the local organising committee were also in attendance and briefed the MRLs on what to expect from an organisational point of view. Topics such as security, transport and accreditation were all discussed.
You get very excited about a World Cup in Brazil. You've got no real sense of the place until you get here. And you come here and you get, you meet the organising committee, HBS and FIFA, and just get a real sense of what they're planning and how they're going to do it, and also how complicated the event's going to be, because it's going to be probably the most complicated World Cup I've been involved in since the last one. It's just the sheer number of feeds now. I think it's on the television now. I think we've got, also with mobile, and the various applications you've got now. There's so much data and video coming through. It's trying to work out how you're going to deliver that and how you're going to get it on screen.
The most important thing at these meetings is to make contact with other broadcasters and to get to know the plans that FIFA has for the World Cup. This is really important because we need to plan well in advance. And here in Brazil, with TV Globo broadcasting the World Cup, it is even more important. We play a fundamental role, and it's not just the planning for all the host cities, but also what we will do in each place, how we will receive the TV signals, and so on.
The WBM serves also as a kind of a start for us because we present the various services and coverage that we will do for 2014 FIFA World Cup. And this focus the minds not only of our clients and the broadcasters around the world, but also ourselves, that we then have a deadline. We need to reach a certain state of preparations, and this we filters down to all stakeholders involved, whether it's the local organizing committee, the government of Brazil, the cities, etc. So we are very pleased again to have this checkpoint in the calendar leading up to the FIFA World Cup.
After a day of meetings and briefings, the evening offered the MRLs an opportunity to sample some sights and sounds of Rio de Janeiro. And where better to do so than at the summit of one of the city's most famous landmarks, Sugarloaf Mountain.
It's a massive opportunity for us to showcase our country and our cities, and in this case Rio de Janeiro. There are many people involved in a World Cup, and to have the media here is very important for us, because it showcases our city. The purpose of this evening is to show people a bit of the flavour of Rio, for people to have some idea about the culture and the diversity of this city. It's to consolidate the vision that Rio is a place of celebration, of partying, but also a city that transforms itself, that changes, and that will warmly welcome all those who come here for the World Cup.
Before then, the MRLs will be back in Rio in December for the second FIFA World Broadcaster meeting, where they'll be updated further on the services they can expect come 2014. "80 kilometres north of Salvador, a city that will host 6 matches at the FIFA World Cup next year, lies the coastal village of Praia de Forte. It's a place where the Baianos, the inhabitants of the state of Bahia, come to relax and unwind from the rigours of daily life. Praia de Forte is also one of 23 bases for the Projeto Tamar, or Tamar Project, a research and conservation program for sea turtles.
The Tamar project was started in 1980 by a group of young oceanographers. At the time, we collected some data and the findings were alarming. We discovered that after travelling 8,000 kilometres along the Brazilian coast, practically every female turtle that came here to lay her eggs was killed by fishermen, and almost all of their eggs were taken away. So the sea turtle's life cycle in Brazil was being interrupted by man.
The Research and Conservation Centre in Praia de Forte has quickly become a popular tourist attraction for visitors to Bahia, and it's a similar story at the project's other bases along Brazil's Atlantic coast. It's an opportunity for the paying public to learn more about these fascinating creatures.
As time went by, we realised that it was important not only to protect the turtles, but also to educate the local communities by giving them an opportunity to see the work that we do on the beaches. That's why we created these visitor centres. It gives people the opportunity to learn, as well as interact with the species during feeding times.
Of the 7 living species of sea turtle, 5 can be found in Brazilian waters. Nesting occurs on several beaches along Brazil's coastline, but the expansion of urban and industrial activities has threatened their existence. And that's where the Tamar project comes in, protecting the nests in locations such as Praia de Forte.
The reaction when people first see a baby leaving its nest, or when the last hatchling reaches the sea, is always the same. It's a moment of great emotion. The baby reaching the sea signifies a cycle being completed, from when the female came here to lay her eggs, to when the babies return to the ocean. It's a circle of life of a sea turtle, animals that are now protected by the Tamar project.
Each year, some 20,000 nests are protected, and as many as 1.2 million hatchlings, or babies, are released into the ocean. Some estimates suggest that only 1 in 1,000 will survive until adulthood, with birds and fish among the many predators. Be that as it may, the sea turtles are doing much better thanks to the work of the conservationists here in Salvador and beyond.
Since our inception, we have managed to replenish the 4 species of sea turtle that were almost extinct, and 4 of the 5 Brazilian species were in that endangered category. Down the years, our conservation work has been recognised with a number of awards, and credit for that must go to the people who have worked very hard to help reduce the problem.
It's been 3 decades of award-winning work by the experts from Tamar, whose centre to the north of Salvador is worthy of a visit next year. It's FIFA Confederations Cup time again, and we complete the puzzle of the 8 competing nations by taking a look at the prospects of the last team to qualify for the tournament. They are the champions of Africa, Nigeria. Nigeria and their followers are no strangers to major international tournaments. The Super Eagles have qualified for the Africa Cup of Nations on 17 occasions and have featured in 4 of the last 5 FIFA World Cups. Most recently at that level, Nigeria were eliminated in the group stage in South Africa, a performance frowned upon back home. They then failed to qualify for the 2012 Cup of Nations, but bounced back 12 months later, lifting the trophy on their return to South Africa earlier this year.
At the start, I don't think anyone gave us the chance that we can do what we did. The big boss, which is Keshi. It makes us to understand that football is not just all about experience. Nobody gave us a chance, but him himself believed in us. That is aiming at the Confederations Cup. This is what he told us. So what he's trying to tell us is that he saw us as a champion, even before we won the cup.
As they were at the Africa Cup of Nations, Nigeria will be coached by Stephen Keshi in Brazil. A former national team defender, Keshi captained the Super Eagles on their World Cup debut in '94, and his coaching career has seen him take charge of Mali and Togo, the latter qualifying for the 2006 World Cup during his time at the helm.
He wants us to play a bit more like the Barcelona kind of style, you know, to press high when we lose the ball, and when we have the ball, we make sure he wants us to keep the ball and pass the ball around and create chances. You know, just wants us to be patient in our build-ups, and he knows if we can keep the ball, then, you know, we'll create chances. We've got players to hurt any team.
Traditionally, the Super Eagles superstars have ruled the roost. When Nigeria faced Korea Republic at the 2010 FIFA World Cup, all 11 players, and indeed the whole squad, were based overseas. Fast forward almost 3 years, and the team Stephen Keshi picked for the final of the Africa Cup of Nations featured 2 of the 6 home-based players in his squad, including goal scorer Sunday Mba.
We have to mix it up with the senior players, big players, and the youth, the players from the Nigerian league, which Keshi has done brilliantly, you know. So all we have to do is just keep supporting him in every decision he takes, and every decision he's taken since he's taken over has worked perfectly. So why not? We just have to keep believing in him and keep supporting him. For us, we all have same goal, and the goal is to keep winning games and keep moving forward.
Nigeria will begin their campaign against Oceania's champions, Tahiti. They then travel to Salvador, a city with a large African population, for a meeting with Uruguay, before rounding off the group stage against the world champions, Spain.
For me, it's a massive group, but at the same time, you know, to be the best, you have to beat the best. That's the language.
I think we, with the way we played in the African Cup of Nations, I think if we can keep that standard, you know, going into this tournament, I think we can actually hurt teams, we can actually hurt countries. So I think we have every good chance of getting through to the semi-finals, at least.
Everything has its time. I believe it's the time of Africans to showcase what they can do now. And I believe we are ready to take on the world.
I'm Rivaldinho, and this is my story. Ever since I was really small, I remember people in school saying, "You're Rivaldo's son." I always heard this, but I didn't have a notion of who my dad was. Then, when I was older, I saw videos of him, and I was really impressed by what he did with the ball, by what he achieved at Barcelona, at Milan, and with Brazil. It really impressed me, and I think that's why I'm his biggest fan. He always said, "You can play football, but you mustn't give up your studies, because if it doesn't work out for you, then at least you will have something to fall back on. If it does work out, then great." He always left me free to choose what I wanted to be, and I chose to be a footballer, and he's always supported me. I think I always wanted it, ever since I was little, because I grew up in the changing rooms of Barcelona, Milan and Olympiacos with my dad. When he was at Barca, I used to train with the youth teams. I think I was 7 and some of the other boys were 11 or so. When he went to Olympiacos, I also played with their youth team. But it was only when I returned to Brazil that I really became interested in playing football. I had a trial at Mogi Mirim Football Club before my dad became the club's president. And I was selected to start playing for the club soon after my dad took charge. I went through a few difficult moments when I was at Mogi. It almost made me give up playing football. It was when people started saying the only reason I was playing was because I was Rivaldo's son. It really upset me. So I called my dad and said, "I think I want to stop playing football because all this talk is really bothering me, even though I know that's not the reason why I'm playing. But it does bother me that people think this way." At the time, I was the competition's top goal scorer. So he said, "Son, why are you going to stop? You're the championship's top scorer. You're doing your job and scoring goals, so it's nothing to do with you playing just because you're my son." Since then, these comparisons, this talk of he only plays because he's Rivaldo's son, they no longer bother me. I know my potential. I know where I can get to, and so it's something that doesn't bother me anymore. It actually helps me, because I show people that it's not that way. I don't play just because I'm Rivaldo's son. I play because I'm Rivaldinho. I played at Mogi for about 3.5 years, and then I signed for Corinthians. It was an amazing feeling, because Corinthians is one of the biggest clubs in the world. In fact, they are the reigning club world champions. So it was something that made me very happy to be part of this great club. My dad was very proud of me. He even said, "You see, I had no part in you going to Corinthians. You went there on your own merits. So you can get this idea out of your head once and for all, that you only play because you're my son. It's not like that. You play because you have quality."
But this being football, things can change quickly, and in May the 18-year-old left Corinthians, citing family reasons, and has since returned to Mogi Mirim. The beginning of the end of Rivaldinho's journey? Not a chance.
I'm never satisfied with what I already know in football. I must always want more, because always striving for more is the only way I will achieve my goals.
Next time, we're in Brasilia as the federal capital prepares for the FIFA Confederations Cup. We catch up with Luis Fabiano, the winner of the tournament's Golden Shoe back in 2009. And we celebrate a century of Santos, the club made famous by Pelé. Until then, goodbye.